So I already see Janine like raising her hand. So I'm gonna call on you because first of all, she's such a light, and second of all, I loved what you wrote before when you told me that you're noticing some big changes. So I'm gonna add you. Hi, girl.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Oh my God, so much to share. And yeah, so I was starting to write that side of the page, and I was like, wow, the old list was pretty well formed. And a lot of, it's not to say there's nothing on that side. There's some things on that side which you just helped me bust through. Thank you so much. But all the things that
Like
used to be on that
whack-a-mole. It's
side,
like got
you
it,
have
got it, got it.
you helped me bust through all the things that used to be on that side. So thank you. But I wanted to give you a little update because it's so interesting that you're talking about time right now, because in October you spotlighted me and we were talking about the stuff. You were like, hello, everything's right there. Why are you not doing the thing? And I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to need time. I need time to do this, this, and this. And in that place, I was coming from like, how can I do that? The how and the blah, blah, blah. But I'm listening to you, and repeat is good because we need to hear these things over and over, because as we shift our lens, your messages land differently at each increment of the shift,
Yes.
So
And just to say for everybody listening, I have a playlist of Joe Dispenza, Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks, and there is no day that goes by that I don't listen to like all of them, right? It's like
yeah,
every day, because otherwise I'm right back in the freaking program, right? I'm made of the same things. I got the same kind of brain. So I want to get ahead of it. I meditate every day, and then I listen to them at some point in all. That's usually what's happening in my car. Is my kids are now like, my husband's like, they just like quote these things. I'm like, they get it better than we do. It's fine. All right, go ahead.
so good. So I kept saying like, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready,
Yeah.
which is where the time comes from, right? And I was expecting to feel ready. And I heard this somewhere, I didn't make this up, but and I did a post on it recently, but ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision, right? And so
Ooh, love it.
so I was waiting to feel ready. And then so from October to February, I was waiting to feel ready. I was like, I'm not ready. I need time. Then one day, and I can't remember, I think I told you this, but I'm not sure, but February, the week before Valentine's Day, it was 10:35 at night. I'll never forget. It was a Wednesday before. And literally I said to myself, what am I waiting for? Why am I still here in this job? Why am I still here? Why am I not doing the thing? And literally in that second, I decided to do the thing I said I wanted to do. So I said to myself,
So
okay.
good.
So I decided, right? And I'm in my office alone. And I was like, oh my God, I just decided. So now the Olympics are on. P.S. The Olympics were on at that time. And I went to bed at like 11:30 at night. I get into bed next to my husband. He's watching the Olympics, totally involved in the Olympics. He turns it off to go to sleep, whatever time. And I said, by the way, I've decided to leave my job on Monday as a gift to myself for Valentine's Day. And he was like, okay, well, okay. I said, we could talk about it tomorrow. We've talked for 10 years about leaving my job, right? So, but there was always like a reason not to do it, right?
Yeah.
But here's what happened. I realized I never decided before. I was just asked. I batted it around. I tried it on for size and then was easily talked out of it, right? Because I didn't believe and I didn't decide. And so in that moment, I decided. So the next day, same thing, 11:30 at night, he's watching the Olympics. We're home all day together, working like separately, but we never talked about it. So that night at 11:30, I go, I think we should talk about what I talked about yesterday, because 11:30 p.m. seems like a great time to talk about big life decisions. And I said, I'm going to quit my job on Monday. And he said to me, because I laid out a few things, but anyway, in short, he said, it sounds like you decided. He sounds like you already decided. And I said, and he wasn't saying that in a bad way.
Yeah.
He was acknowledging that my energy around it was different. And I said, I did. I decided. And so the conversation from there was completely different than the 10 years prior.
So
and
what happened then? I can't wait.
Do you know what he said?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I'll make it quick. I'm sorry. But here's what happened. So that conversation was no longer, here are all the reasons why you probably shouldn't. It was, I said, I need your support. I have my own back in this. I have our back in this. And then he said to me, what does support look like to you? What? What? That did not
Beautiful.
happen. But because I decided
So
and
good.
brought a different energy to the table, the entire
Yes.
conversation was different. The
Oh,
entire
Janine,
conversation
that's
was
so
different.
beautiful.
So I
That's
gave my notice.
so beautiful.
So I gave my notice on Valentine's Day as a gift to myself of love, right? And ended February 28th and started my coaching full time March 1st. And I just, so going back to October, you were like, this needs to be a group. You need to do group coaching. And I was like, I don't know. Should I do group? I just finished my first week of group coaching. So I just started a 6-week group program. I did a masterclass about it. And then 15 people came to the masterclass. 4 of them are my clients right now in a group, which I thought was really awesome. And so I'm going to keep doing that. And like, this feels so good. And you are right. It was right there. It was right there. And so now I'm doing this group. I have 4 amazing, beautiful women in this group. And it's been like, I had 2 sessions with them this week, and it was week 1. I love this. Like, this is it. This is the thing. So they're already having their own, like, oh my God moments, like, wow, this is shifting things for them. And so yeah, so thank you for putting it there and on repeat and doing that and showing the possibilities, because sometimes we need someone to show us what is possible for us. And now I am sharing that with other women and showing them what's possible for them, and is lighting me up every day, and I love it. So thank you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was just like you weren't ready. You were over ready. It was like, when there's the fruit that's on the tree and you're like, you have to pick it. It's like so ripe. That's where it was at. And all of those pieces, how your husband was there in that moment as a match for where you were. That's just so big, right? And now you just finished this first week, and I would just keep in a positive way challenging you to see even more, right? Because as far as you could see, as far as you start feeling it, and you start mentally rehearsing and enjoying what's already there, and you're just it's like we just planned the trip to New England. We're going to Maine, we're going to Boston, we're going to see Ben Rector, we're doing all this like fun New England stuff. And I feel like I already lived it, because I look at the pictures of all the things we're doing. We're going to be in Manhattan for 3 days. Like, I look at everything we're doing and I've already experienced it. I know how good it feels to take my kids to a Broadway show. I just did that. I just looked at what we're going to do and go to the slime museum, and there's so much fun stuff now you can do now that COVID is a little bit different than it was. Right. And we've got vaxes and we've got antibodies, whatever we have. It's like, we can go do museums. It's like, I've already experienced, I'm saying to my daughter tonight, it's like, I experienced it. Right. So we do that with certain things. Like, we take the liberty to do that. Like when you're planning your wedding or when you're planning a trip, right? Why don't we do that with our life? Yes. Like, how many moments of your day are you mentally rehearsing and enjoying? Because then it's like, it's a fait accompli. It's like, because it is already there, It's like when I was pregnant, I just already, like, I knew I was already in love with her. I experienced it, all of that. So I'm just going to keep challenging you to increase that vision, just push the horizon even further. It's like, what else is there? Right.
Now there's like, I'm just getting started, and I feel like, and I don't mean that in like, I'm just getting started, I'm not ready. I'm just getting started.
No, I know.
See like this expansion and this like possibility. I'm like psyched. And I wrote this entire thing yesterday, like a dream storm, like let's blow this out. Let's dream this big. Like, I am starting right now, and everybody started somewhere. So where are we going? What do we want to create? What's the effect I want it to have?
So just for fun, I've never played poker, but I think what they say is like, I'll see you and raise you there, something like that.
Yes.
So like, just for fun, what is a place right now where you are hitting a little bit of your own resistance and you would like to kind of go even further, and you like feel this like little thing come up, It could be something really
Yeah.
small. It could be something regarding like what you're charging, or it might be something about who knows, or what your messaging is. But I'm just curious where that is right now.
Oh no, I'm so glad you just asked that, because the thing that is on the side of the page that I wrote down before, I think part of it is the money thing. And it's not just money, because I know money is energy. And I've been really like, you taught me that. I feel like I never really thought of it that way before. So I've been really trying to work on that. And I feel like I still bump up against that. Like what I'm charging, what I want to charge in the future, what are the things I still feel a little like, oh, I don't know how to explain what that is, but I feel limited there.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know
let's look at that for a second.
how to.
So first of all, this is what makes it so clean with your clients, is that what you're a match for, you're a match for. And it'll get organized however it needs to be organized. But if you're vibrationally, if your circuit can handle a certain amount of watts, that's how much watts you will be able to hold, period. So you don't need it to come from this client or this client. It'll just kind of be arranged based upon what you're a match for, because that is literally how it works in the field. Okay. So that's really where we do the work, is like, what am I really able to hold? How much of a charge? And as we did on the retreat, which was so awesome, is I had all the girls write a check to themselves, at their seat. I said, just write a check to yourself. And that's all I said. I didn't say, write your worth. I didn't say, I didn't even say, write a check based on how much money you made in the last month or year. I just said, write a check to yourself. Okay. And they wrote a check. And then I said, okay, based on what you wrote, I want you to now get up. We're going to move into a circle, and $0 would be right where the door is, all the way around, and then like 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, 5,000,000, all the way to here. So then where it would end up is like a zillion or whatever, right? And I said, get in a circle based upon what number you put on the check. So they all got in their circle. And it's just a freaking fascinating thing. I wish you guys could see it. You will. You're all going to come to a live event. It's so fun. It's so good. Steph and I are just like, she's looking at me the whole time on the Zoom, like, yeah, it was a whole thing, right? I felt like we got in a rocket ship and like moved to a different time and space, because that is what happens when the energy changes. It was just so powerful. Anyway, so everybody lines up, and it's fascinating. You're like, okay, these people are at 200,000. And then there's people in the same room who are over here at 25 million. And there's, there was one woman who wrote $1 billion, right? But all these, and so then we looked at it. And I kind of like went into like each of the kind of categories, and in front of everybody, I asked, like, from this group, those of you who are at 2 million, can someone raise your hand and tell me why you wrote that? It doesn't matter. It's all made up. You made it up.
Right,
so tell me what you made up. So this one was like, well, that one, I said it because it's realistic. And I was like, oh, $2 million is realistic for you, but 9 isn't. Like, it's just so funny. Okay, got it. Why did you write 8 million? Why didn't you write 15 million? And we just went through the whole thing. And then we had everybody close our eyes. And I said, okay, now close your eyes, right? And now let's just feel where this is energetically. Like, where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your stomach? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Do you feel it in your throat? Like, where is this thing? This thing that feels like sort of where it stops. This barrier, right? I said, now could you sort of like go beyond it? And is there a way, let's say you were like the best chiropractor, acupuncturist, we're moving energy. Let's just look at it as energy. Can we move it? Can we move it? And like, could you move that and raise it a little bit? And can you raise it a millimeter? Can you raise it an inch? We're just playing with just energy on an energetic level. And then I said, now with your eyes closed, right? Come into self, higher self, come into soul, right? Find it, find your center, find your highest self. Drop in, drop all the way in, feel it, feel yourself really moving out of ego, really move out of ego, really, 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 truly, like that part of you that's really always there. That's like that higher self, that part, right? What is the match there? because all of a sudden you realize that any number feels ridiculous, because the only match for what really is infinite.
Right.
So then we realize, and this is why it's so powerful to do this in meditation and to have a somatic experience of this. So I want you all to come to an event. But we then realized it's all ego. That the more humble you are, that the more you drop into true higher self, that's when you take the brakes off with money. Because it's the ego that's in the way. It's fear, shame, and doubt. It's limit. It's man-made.
Yes.
And that's not serving anybody. And so that's why it's not going to be more. Because the people, right? When you are in abundance, you're not just a match for it, you become a stand for that possibility for everybody around you. So the more you drop in and you're out of ego, like I was just reading that Elon Musk is like couch surfing because he doesn't really care about a house, right? Like there's a certain place where it's not that interesting, right? Like what house would blow his mind? Like his mind is so blown open that he doesn't even really want a house anymore. Right?
Right.
It's like, that's not that expansive anymore. Like what mansion in Beverly Hills is going to do it for him? Nothing. Right? It's more interesting to just use his mind, right? So it's not about the money. It's about how much of a conductor of energy we become.
Yes. And I feel like this sounds counter, but like intellectually, I know that. Right. And that sounds weird because like, we're not talking about the rational.
And I know what you mean. You're saying, I understand this.
I understand
I cognitively understand.
Yes.
It hits, right?
Yes.
It hits. Yeah.
And right. I think that's the practice of like just putting yourself in that place of the infinite and shedding that ego and the limitation, the comparison and the rational, like really like deciding to rid yourself of the rational you've been playing within this whole time. And now I'm like, forget the rash. I've done it. I've done the thing that we thought was going to take the house down. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like I've done it. I've left the job that didn't take us down at all. I'm just on this path of abundance and infinite possibility. And I think for me, like I need to like just stay connected to that. And these kinds of conversations are the way to do that. And this on repeat is the way to shed the rest of that rational thinking so that we can expand into everything that's possible. Like I believe there's so much possible for me the roadblocks aren't there anymore. A lot of them are not, obviously. This one I'm working on, but I feel like, I feel it. I need to practice that more.
Yeah.
And this helps.
I like thinking about like, and I'm sure this is written somewhere because people know these things, but it's probably clear somewhere how much water a whale needs to swim in order to be actually even okay, right? Like you couldn't put it in a pool. We know that doesn't work. It would die, right? So there's probably a certain amount of water, and even that is like sad because like you put it in one of those horrible like seawater parks or something, right? That they don't really thrive there. So there's a certain amount of water. Same thing with like a redwood tree. There's probably a certain amount of resources it needs to be its highest. So I have a little Persian cat, right? Even she came with instructions. You know, the vet was like, she needs to eat this much twice a day, and then she needs dry food all day long, and then she needs this much clean water, right? So I always am checking on it. Why am I saying that? Because it would kind of be cool if we sort of came with an instruction booklet, right? And made it very just matter of fact, like to be a human and thriving. And I don't mean like barely surviving like a whale inside of a SeaWorld. I mean like thriving. You're gonna need this much money depending on like inflation. It's got to look like this, right? Then it wouldn't be such a thing, right? It would just be like, oh, right, for me to thrive, right? This is
Mhm.
how much of that energy I need to sort of bring into my ecosystem. So there's no more judgment. There's no more toxic scarcity, like ego around it. It just is what it is. And when I say thrive, it's like, hang on a second. So what does it mean to thrive? It's like, well, hang on. Well, we all need enough food and water and all that. So we don't have to be focused on food and water, right? We know we have
Mhm.
food, water, shelter, all of that stuff, just like a plant, just like a whale, just like all these things need whatever they need for their actual thriving, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then what else? Well, each of us came here with a mission. Each of us came with an assignment. So your assignment is different than mine, right? And mine is different than my husband's, and my husband's different than my daughter's and my neighbor's. And everybody has a different thing in which they light up around it. You know, they want to be able to make this kind of an impact. For some people, it's just arts. Like they want everyone to have art education. They love it. They get so excited about kids. Some people like Goldie Hawn, she's so into like kids having mindfulness stuff, right? Like I actually was just paying for something day in New York City, and it was like, do you want to add a donation for Goldie Hawn's Mind Up, which I'm familiar with it. I was like, that's so cool. They're connected with her, right? But everybody has a different thing. For some people, it's like their extended family, right? Like they just know that in their thing, like they want to be that person to do this thing, to be a catalyst for this, to get clean water in Africa, to
Mhm.
whatever it is. Like we're all really mission driven, truly. Like we see that in every human that we get. So then how much do you need in your ecosystem to do your thing called thrive?
Mm.
Right? It's like, then it just is. That's what it looks like. That's what it is. And then you become God's banker, right? It's like, great. Now you're the banker. Like you're in charge. You're the custodian of this so that you get to be used, that you get to do your assignments, that you get to thrive, show up, and also add this to this aspect of the world. Done.
Yes.
Let's all move
Yes.
on, right? Let's all
Yeah.
move the F on. What are we doing with this thing? And then you think about, right, when people in the government, they throw numbers around that we cannot even conceive of. What do I mean? They say things like, well, we have $1 trillion, a trillion, it's like Dr. Evil, right? No, $1 trillion. We have $1 trillion in debt because of blah, 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 right? What
Yeah.
is it going to? What, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think of what's going on in the world, right? And like, we have $1 trillion over to this. We give $1 trillion to that. A trillion. And everyone's okay, just moving on with their day. Like, and here's people writing checks of $1 trillion to what is it? Building arms stuff. Oh my God, how much money they spend on war and stuff that they
Oh
build
my
for war.
God.
It's like, let's give all the little boys like money to buy toys with and like get an ego and like do their little thing and play it out. It's like, whoa, like trillions, right? And then we sit here and we're like, who would I be? Who would I be if I made
Oh
3
my
million
God.
a year? Like me making 3 million a year, very controversial, very triggering for people. I don't think it's right. I will sabotage it. What will happen to my marriage? What will happen to my community? What will people think of me? Oh my God, people will unfollow me on Instagram. They'll be like, how dare she make that? What the hell is
Oh my
going
God.
on?
When you say that like that, I'm like embarrassed for myself. Do you know what I'm saying? But in a good way. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh
Yeah.
my God, you're right. These are the things that have been keeping us here when
What?
what?
You've got leadership, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous,
Oh, crazy.
Like
Oh, I needed that.
I lived in Israel, right? And I got to
Mhm.
know the coolest human beings, Arabs, Christians, and Jews, hugged it out, loving everybody. I mean, they're freaking awesome. I lived in Spain. I've lived around the world. People are amazing. Leadership, not so great, okay? So you got the most amazing people around the world. I'm talking like we're all really the same, okay? We're all the
Yeah.
same. We all want to watch some reality TV and eat good food and go to college. I'm serious, like really, okay? And then you've got leadership that's, talk about ego. It's freaking fascinating. And they just have no problem raising tons of money to write tons of checks, but we can't figure out gun control. And then we're sitting here having this conversation, right? It's all wrong. It's like, no. Every human being that you and I mean, you're in the coaching space too. It's like anytime now I'm doing what I'm doing, it's like if I can help all the women that come through my ecosystem to say, let's get every single woman, right? Let's get her just in her highest and best, right? We can underwrite change. Forget it. It's not working. It's like, no. I'm going to vote for these people. Then they're going to go there. They're going to change it. No, they're not going to change it. They're not, because they're all paid for. They're bought and sold. They're bought and paid for, right? It's not working. But regular human beings, we can do a whole lot, right? We can do a whole, Dr. King was not a politician, you know?
Right.
Dalai Lama, not a politician, right? So it's like, we just have a lot to do, and we have to get over this whole thing about money, right?
Yeah.
And then it's really not about us. It's really about the girls we're there to help, because she needs to spend more money so that she stops thinking about scarcity. So she starts making more money, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, yes. Like, we just enrolled a beautiful group of people into this mastermind that I'm doing. And I got to a point where I heard it in my ear, like, hey, Kath, you need a program that costs more money. You got to call them up. They want it. They need it. They need it, not you. You don't need that. You don't need that right now. You were too busy, but you got to do that for those people. And it's amazing. Like, as soon as it started happening, people were like, oh my God, since I signed up, that's it. This is the year I am going to, and I'm like, of course, because you energetically now just co-signed. This is what's available. This is what I'm doing. This is what's here. And of course, it already was there. It's about a different vibration. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Thank you. Everything I needed to hear right now.
Yeah. I mean, I am so just good. I'm so here for the money conversation. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's like all I want to talk about all day long, because it's just so clear to me what's going on. But Janine, you're a freaking gorgeous soul. Since the second I met you, I'm like, you're powerful, you're sweet, you're smart. Go make that money for their sake.
Yes, not for my sake, for their sake. I want to give, like all the tools and the love, and then open to receiving also, and it just help more people. Like, I love it. I love this conversation. Thank you for your energy and for having us all in this space, because this helps elevate us so that we can go elevate others. And like, this is so amazing. And thank you. I'm glad we had this chat.
I love it. Thank you for bringing all of it. And I'm so happy for you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Please keep me posted, because it's just going to go like, whoop. It's like going to be
so exciting.
A very steep incline from here.
I love it. Thank you so much, Cathy.
You're welcome.
All right.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So fun. Tiffany, I saw your hand go up next, and I know that you just had such an exciting, tell them what you just, well, you're probably going to tell them anyway, but tell them what you just did.
Okay. First of all, Cathy, I was the whale at the sad SeaWorld park.
Oh no.
Splashing everybody in the front row and them going, too much. So yeah, yesterday was my last day at my job forever. And I can't,
confetti.
Oh my God. So 20 years in public education. I got to tell you, like, I left a pension. I left kick-ass health insurance. And I also left a bookend job that told me you're going to make 10 paychecks a year, and it's never going to be quite enough, and you're never going to get quite ahead. And we're going to give you a 2% raise every now and again, and you'll feel really lucky to have that. And you can't have too much passion. And, you can't put a pink streak in your hair, and you can't have tattoos, and you know what I mean? Like, you have to be this. And I walked away yesterday officially, and
Tiffany, oh my God. Talk about being high vibe. Like, I'm so excited for what's already done, that's already in your particular music notes, because every time you come across my Instagram feed, or I'm watching something you're posting, or my team is talking about you, everyone's like this. This is how it always starts. Oh my God, did you see what she's doing?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Cathy, I can't sing your praises enough. It's in August, in probably June, July, at the end of the school year last year, I was devastated and brokenhearted. I did not get that promotion I was supposed to get. I was told I was too passionate for the job. And I'd gotten my master's degree and I was so like ready for all of this. And to sit there and go, oh, I'm too passionate. You are telling me I have to dim my light and change who I am to continue on this career that I love so much, that I have to completely change myself. And I got to tell you, Cathy, it broke my heart to realize I couldn't stay there and I wasn't sure what to do. And I was on a walk at lunch. It was probably on the last few days of the school year. And I found your podcast. And you were launching Made to Do This. And it was the last few days Made to Do This. Like, you had not been in my orbit for very long. And I'm walking and I'm like, this is okay. I'm going to do this. I didn't have the money for it. Like, a teacher getting through summer is brutal.
Not easy.
We don't get paid during the summer.
Yeah.
And
what a ridiculous system.
It really
what a
is.
Stupid, dumb.
It really
stupid
is.
System.
It really is. So, yeah, Cathy, I'm just, and everything has changed. I spoke on the keynote stage at the biggest podcast. That's the only reason I wasn't at the retreat. I was like,
I know, I saw that, and I knew that you wouldn't. I knew that was fine.
I was like, they're the same weekend. How can this be? But yeah, like, I just like how I went from launching the podcast in August to keynote stage at Podfest Expo in May. Like, how does that happen, Cathy?
Yes, that's how it happens.
And I just signed up for TEDx, and it's like, it's amazing. It's amazing.
You remember when in Back to the Future, when Doc Brown turns to Michael J. Fox's character, Marty, and he's like, where we're going, we don't need roads.
I love that scene so much.
And that's it.
We don't.
You don't need roads.
No.
You don't need time and space. It's like, just whoop, change the altitude. You know what I mean? Like, just to change the altitude, right? I remember when Matthew McConaughey, I can't believe, like, my ego couldn't believe it. Like, oh my God, here he is. We're going to spend 90 minutes together. And that moment where he, like Janine was saying, he decided, I'm an actor. He decided it, right? And Jenna Fisher said to me, she played Pam on The Office, as you guys know, that a lot of people, when they think they decided, they didn't. Like, they would say to her, I came out to LA, I'm going to give it 6 months. And she's like, so you're not an actor.
Right.
Like, I'm going to make sure. And if it doesn't happen by then, I'm out of here, right? Where she was like, went to LA also. And she's like, I decided, like, I'm an actor, right? And of course, you know, she had a great, a string of things happen for her. But he said to me also, right? He was in law school, which not everybody knows that. And he was not happy. And he was afraid that his, like, very, like, masculine Texan dad would not approve of him being an actor, but he just couldn't do it anymore. And so he, like, tells his dad, like, I'm leaving. Oh no, he was going to go to law school, but I think anyway, he leaves and he calls his dad and he says, yeah, I'm not going to finish this. I'm not going to go to law school. I'm going to be an actor. And his dad goes, well, don't half-ass it. And that was the conversation. He's like, well, that was better than what I expected. So that night, right, what does he do? He goes with his friend to the top of the Hyatt Hotel, to the bar, and they're just drinking and having a good time. And this guy at the end of the bar sees him and he goes, why are you having such a good night? What are you celebrating? And he was like, oh, it's just like the best day ever. And the guy says, are you an actor? And he goes, I am. Yeah, I'm an actor. And he's like, oh, cool. I'm in town to film a movie. Do you want to be in it? We need an extra. He's like, yep. Tell me what to do. He's like, be at this place tomorrow. Shows up at this place. Turns out it's Dazed and Confused. Turns out he's like totally magnetic, so happy. He'd never been on a movie set. He's just like loving life. And the director says, hey, you see that girl? Would you like ask her out in the real world? And he's like, yeah, hell yeah, I would. He's like, cool. Would you do it? Can I like roll tape and you'll ask her out? Let me put a mic on you. So he like asked him to get in this car, and he gets in the car and he's like, I've never done this before. So I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing. So he goes, Kath, I just said to myself, all right, who's my character? My character is about 3 things: hot cars, hot women, and good pot. So he goes, I look next to me, the actor next to me is smoking a joint. I'm in this really cool car. They just put a mic on me and they want me to ask this hot girl out. So he goes, they roll tape. They told me just to ask her out. And as they hit action, I roll down the window and I go, all right, all right, all right. Like I got all three of these things. And the guy's like, can you stay? Can we write you into the movie? And nobody knows this, that like he's written into this movie. He didn't actually have a part in this movie. And of course, the rest is history. And of course, it didn't take any time. It didn't take
Cathy,
any time.
the same thing happened to me almost. Almost. I got to tell you, I'm going to be in a TV show. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
I'm not surprised.
It was 2 days after I said, I'd like to be an extra. I was filling out my IMDb because podcasters can have an IMDb.
What?
And I was filling out my IMDb and I'm like, it'd be really fun to be an extra on a TV set. I'd love to just see how this works. I said it out loud to my partner. I just think it'd be so cool. 2 days later, I get a text message from somebody. Would you like to be on a TV show? We're doing a family game show and I need 2 people to be on my team. Would you and your son like to be on the show? I just wanted to be an extra. Now I get to be on a show and I signed an NDA, so I can't tell you any more about it, but oh my God.
It's so
and it's
good.
filming in 3 weeks.
So great.
It's the same thing. It doesn't take time.
Let's see what else happens. Let's see what else is coming through the jukebox. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, why would you want to sign up for any other way that the universe works? How cool is it that this is actually the way it is? We're all connected by vibration, and it's all about like, what are you tuned into, right? What are you tuned into? I'm so excited for you. So what's next for you that's coming up? And where are you hitting your resistance, if at all? Doesn't sound like there's much.
There's plenty. And my resistance, I think, is like everybody's resistance. I come from the 10 paychecks a year and a teacher is only worth this much. And this is how much you get paid and you should be grateful for it. And, teachers should be seen and not heard and don't stand out from the crowd and that kind of stuff. Right. So and I was raised in a religion that was very, very similar. I was raised in a cult where like women are seen and not heard and you raise the babies and that's what you do. So escaping all of that, I have so much programming. I have so much unlearning to do, which I feel is the magic of you, is the unlearning I've done in this past year. So I have 48 years of unlearning to do. It's not going to all be done in 1 year. But the massive unlearning I've done is huge. I still would say scarcity mindset. It's a big, ugly monster that attacks me on a regular basis of, yesterday I was navigating health insurance and getting health insurance on my own. And, it's just like our system in this country is so unfair. And, so that struck me of like, there's just a little that unlearning to do around scarcity mindset with financial abundance. And what you said to Janine about the whale, I think I've had Shamu and SeaWorld mindset of how much do I need to survive? I've set up, this is how much I need to make to survive, but poor Shamu's not thriving. I don't want to be not thriving. I want to be free. I want to fly. And so how much do I need to thrive?
To thrive. Yeah.
And so I think that will help me. I've had so much of this. Well, this is the number I need to hit to survive and keep the roof over my head and keep my kids, eating food and all of that. So I think that will help. I'm going to really meditate on that a lot. That's a big thing. So that's going to be my hugest area, I think.
Yesterday I interviewed, I guess she's like a peer / new friend of mine, Lisa Bilyeu. Do you guys know who she is?
Yeah. Radical confidence. I'm radical audacity. She's radical confidence. Yeah.
That's right. And for those of you who don't know, she made $1 billion, billion with a B. She and her husband created Quest protein bars and sold it. And she's such a gorgeous resonant energy. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about like where they were at, in the days before they came up with this new nutritional concoction, this recipe, like what life looked like, how they like used their house as collateral to like build this bar. And it was like, I'm uncomfortable making phone calls, but I would lose my house. I'm going to make the phone call, right? Like she was talking about like where they were at. And then like, you know, you grow a business, but you don't yet have money until you sell shares of a business, right? It's in the business, right? And so she said she remembers the moment when they kept refreshing and refreshing the screen because it was like the money was about to actually hit their account because they were going to like cash it in and sell it. And her and her husband were just like, and the lawyer was like, okay, transaction's coming. It's coming today. It's coming today. And they refresh. They were in the garage working out, but they stopped to just keep refreshing it. And then the boom, all that money, right? And she goes, we looked at each other, we hugged, we cried, we changed out our workout clothes and just went back to work, like kept working because they had a job they were still running this business. And she goes, and then we like decided to buy a particular house and then got back to work. Like, and then we're like, okay, what are we going to, right? It wasn't like, oh, great. Now I stop being me and doing my mission. And all I do is like add to cart all day long. Like, no, right? So it's so cool what they've been able to do. And they started this thing called Impact Theory, and they've had now 500 million views and, you know, across their YouTube and just like helping so many people. And so she said, you know what radical confidence is? She said to me, she goes, it wasn't this thing that you might think like, oh, I'm so incredibly confident. Look at me, you know, she goes, it was radical confidence. What does that mean? She goes, it's so radical to decide in every moment that you're going to keep going and that you're going to look at what's over here, looking at you called circumstance or reality, and to radically, right, like a revolution go, no, not in this moment, one moment at a time going, no. And people said to them, guys, there's already like umpteen protein bars. Like nobody needs another protein bar. And she said, and it didn't matter because we didn't believe that that was reality, right? And most of the women I meet would be so excited and feel like they were really thriving if they made $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 million. They'd be so excited, right? And she's like, you could make $1 billion, right? You could make $1 billion and it's kind of no big deal either, right? It was about like more of that vibe, more phone calls, selling more of those big pallets, she said there was like 80 million bars shipping out a month or something crazy, right? But it's just like a couple other phone calls, right? Where you're sharing that vibe and you're sharing that story. And yeah, I mean, and just to play with your ego for a second, Tiffany,
Please
I just want to say this to you because you said like, oh, healthcare and it's so unfair. And I'm not saying you're wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But what I just want to add in there is like when my husband and we went through all this fertility treatment, right? And then I had this first baby and I had this, like, I don't want to get into graphic details, but it was like not an awesome situation what happened. And so as a result, with baby 2 and 3, we decided to hire this high risk doctor. Okay. And he was not available for insurance. So we paid out of pocket. And then going through our life, these things would come up and we were like, oh my God, but I don't want to have to be bound by what my insurance is. So I'm just going to forget healthcare. Forget it. I want to pay for it. I want to pay for the person that I want to pay for. Right. And so I'm just saying like abundance exists for you. Okay. And that's not going to determine you getting to have like the absolute best healthcare. Just the same thing with education. You know, it's like, I'm all about kids actually getting real education and not like what you just said, putting kids in a school with teachers who are kept in that way, locked, right? How are you even able to show up? You're put into scarcity. The kids are taking tests. Like there's just all this stuff. So it's like, okay, so then we need to do things privately, right? Sometimes, but it all exists and we all can tap into this market. And Tiffany, you are such a firecracker that I'm like, on the other side of you continuing this vibration, what divine download, what thought, because every single $1 billion that ever got made came from a thought, came from inspiration. And that's in the now. We don't have to wait 6 weeks to be in a place where we're available for the thought. What's the thought? What are you creating? Move with that. right? And you are like so powerful. So I sit here and people are already commenting about you in the chat. Oh, she's amazing. She helps you with their podcast. It's like, do you know how many people want to start podcasts? We haven't even seen the beginning of it. You just spoke at this podcast conference. You should have your own podcast conference, right? There's $1 billion right there. You could have your own network of women podcasters. You could have it's like, it's already done. It's already there. Those are like 2 ideas that are, coming through my mind. So yeah, actually, that's not a bad idea, Tiffany, that you create your own podcast event and ask a bunch of people like, that you love, and I'll come speak at it, and, people will get so much out of it.
Okay.
Whatever. There's a million things you could do, but I'm just saying it's time to be available for it because it's here. And there is no such thing called, when you repeated it twice, like you should be seen and not heard. No.
Yeah.
You need to be heard big time, right? Everything is sound. Everything is vibration. It's all in tune. So more than seen, because see we do with 3D. Sound is 5D.
Yeah.
I need you way more heard than seen, right? We don't see shit when we look out around the world. We actually can't see, but we can hear. You need to be heard.
That's why podcasting is so powerful.
Yes,
We're at that energetic level with people.
You're right. I'm hearing you say that, and I'm getting that in this moment for the first time. Like, I know it because it's like intimate and all of that, but you're right. Because watching YouTube, right? You're back in 3D. It's perception, right? But listening to something, also you can hear.
Yeah.
You can hear when someone comes from here or when they come from ego. You can hear it in the resonance.
It comes through. You feel
Tiffany,
it.
what did we just create for you right now? What is happening?
I want to cry. I do. I just want to cry.
I love you. I'm like hugging you across the time and space.
So
just
much.
I'm right now. I'm like in your jukebox. I'm hugging you right now. I love you so much. And I see it. Can you guys all mentally rehearse for a second what her assignment is? Can you see her just like flitting through the world, just like turning on the volume for all these women who were not really heard? Oh God. Right? So good. I'm so excited for you. I knew that you didn't come to the event because you had to speak. And Erin ran, oh my God, the girl who who would have been your roommate. She's on fire. It's insane.
Yes.
But I know you'll be at another one of those events.
Yes.
And when you get there, your job is to tell us about all of the things that are now bubbling in between now and the time you get to say it to us at the event. So it's going to do that. You're just awesome. Thank you for sharing it. I'm so proud of you.
So are you. Thank you. Thank you for creating this space where we can see. I mean, the possibilities that you open up for us. It's to me, opportunity and possibility. They're like these little magical fairies that are flying around all the time, right? Like Elizabeth Gilbert talks about idea fairies, and I expand it to like possibility fairies. And before, I think I was somebody who was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but no. Oh, that's kind of cool, but no. And so then the possibility fairies are like, yeah, well, we can't really hang out with you. And now I'm like, hey, come out, have a cup of tea with me. Let's hang out. Let's chat, possibility fairy. Like, what could happen here? And like, they're just coming and hanging out because now I'm like, this is this cool space to hang out with me. Let's chat because I'm down for it. Whereas before I was like, oh no, don't know how to make that happen. And they didn't feel welcome. And I think now they do. And I think it's because you opened that up for me, like those barriers that I had set around myself, you opened up. And
I so receive it.
So
I feel so grateful that this is what I feel lit up to do. And I am so grateful that it keeps leading me to such incredible women. I mean, Stephanie was in the room with me, and so were a few other people here. And it was just like being in a chamber of medicinal, just the power of, talk about the vibe. I mean, it was just amazing. So I feel so grateful. And that's why you have to do what you're called to do, because the amount of people that are already there that need you with your sweetness, your sincerity, your story, where you've been, what you've already done in this world, right? And how you showed up. And now what you're doing is like, they'll only be able to hear it the way they'll hear it from you. And so think of like what doors you get to open for them. You know, it's very, very exciting.